And hello, Hearts of Oak. Thanks so much for joining us once again. And we have David Vance back with us, giving us his wisdom on the last week's news. David, thanks so much for your time as always.
Yeah, as always, it's a pleasure to be here with you, Peter. Thanks for having me.
Not always good to have you. And we'll get on the first one, which is smashing the boats. Now, my thoughts on this were the only thing that Keir Starmer, sorry, beg putting your name into him. The only thing he has smashed is actually British identity. Proof that Starmer smashed the gang's campaign as a joke. Small boat migrant tally hit 25,000 in record time. We were told that we would be able to assess him on his ability to smash these gangs. It seems to be an abject failure.
Well, first of all, to go back to your thing about David Starmer, the reason for that is because did you see the other story that the Christian name Keir is so unpopular that apparently in the past 12 months nobody has called their child Keir. So maybe there's a reason for that one, Peter. But on the point of the substance point, so 25,000, just over 25,000 this year to date. That's a record. So complete failure from Starmer, absolute failure, and it just demonstrates to me that what he's done is it's all rhetoric with him, hollow rhetoric, all this nonsense about going to smash the gangs. I did a podcast last night, and one of the guys who regularly phones in, he does a great Sir Keir Starmer impersonation. It's really good, and I always love to hear it because he actually sounds more human than even Keir Starmer. But he's failed to stop the boats. He's failed to smash the gangs. He's smashed our borders. He's smashing our country. And my thinking is that's 25,000 year to date, right? So by the end of the year, I'm sure you're looking at 40 to 50,000. Another 4 years of that, Peter, you add it all together. By the time of the next election, that's over 250,000.
Yeah, right.
That is not sustainable. Like, it's serious, this, because that's a massive, massive problem. And he was the guy, as you say, came to power, told us, judge me on what I do. He knocked the Conservatives' pretty stupid Rwanda scheme on the head and replaced it with something, if that's possible, something worse, which is what this is, because he's not stopping anything. There's no deterrence apart from the little deal he and Macron have worked out, which, as you know, is insane because it's one in, one out. So we get a migrant and we send back a migrant. So the levels never drop, ever. This guy, I think, I'm undecided. Is he gaslighting us because he thinks we're stupid? Or does he actually believe of the stuff that he says? I don't know. I really don't know. All I know is the UK can't afford 250,000 cross-channel invaders to give them the correct title. All illegals. They all broke the law to come in our country. And I mean, the one good thing, I saw Rupert Lowe said this in the past day or so. It's a good point. The word deport is now regularly used across on the centre right anyway. And I want to see every one of them deported. But I mean, where do they go? Wednesday. Wednesday of this week, 900 arrived, Peter, at Dover. The 900 is a big that. And then also, I don't know if you saw the video clips. I've seen some of the video clips of when these migrants actually do arrive on the shore. They jump down and they praise Allah. So they're showing where their loyalty lies when they arrive. So my thinking is, well, if they want to praise Allah, that's fine. Stick them in the dinghy, turn it around, send them back, and Allah will make sure that they get back to France. Shouldn't be our problem, but Starmer ain't doing a thing to stop it.
He isn't. And there have been lots of demonstrations outside hotels. Here's a clip of one of them. We'll not play the whole thing, but here's an example of what is happening in the UK.
This lady just wants to be safe.
Very close.
And it goes on, but the whole thing, we were never actually asked whether we want our society to be utterly changed. And there seems to be this rising anger. We saw October last year, or August last year,
August, yeah.
and the police and the government forced that down, stared it down. It seems to be rising again with anger at all these migrant hotels.
It absolutely is. Although, do you realize by the very act of you showing that, you could invoke the wrath of the spy unit in Whitehall, which
Now,
the
you
government.
sent it to me, David. You sent it to
Yeah,
me.
I absolutely did not. And also, I mean, the thing about it is, I think the government's decided, Peter, that they don't want it, they can't stop the migrants coming, but they want to stop us seeing the natural protest, which you just showed there, Peter, of ordinary Brits basically saying enough. And I'm sure we both viewers will know this. I mean, this weekend there's lots of protests, the length and breadth of the UK, against these migrant hotels, and the government just wants to basically say, well, to X and other platforms, look, don't show it. It's not helpful, or you could be in breach of our Online Safety Act, and so that seems to be their strategy. And it does mimic almost to the day, Peter, a year ago. Here we are, beginning of October or August, and it was August last year when the Starmer showed his two-tier care and the two-tier policing and the two-tier justice. And a year on, it's not gone away. If anything, it's coming back, because we got to see the protests last year. They want to stop us showing them. Why would they do that? I ask you. Why would they want to stop it? Because they're authoritarian thugs and they hate the notion that ordinary British people mightn't be happy. But there is a caveat. I wanted to say this because I just want to get this out there. The whole thing is migrant hotels, close them down, empty it. Right. Okay. I'm good with that. They should never have been opened in the first place. The worry is that the government keeps talking about and is using Serco to use these HMOs, houses of multiple occupancy, to spread them. And so, in a way, if they spread the thousands of them in hotels into HMOs, you're going to get arguably tens of thousands of these illegal invaders in all our communities. It's not just that there's a hotel near you. There could be the house next door, it could be an HMO. So it is worrying, but either which way, all these hotels should be closed, but no HMOs should be allowed. But of course, Starmer intends to do both. He said he'll close the hotels by 2029. Well, he's out in 2029, so that's transparently, false. He doesn't probably intend to do anything other than just allow more of them in.
No, exactly. And you mentioned the baby names, and here's a part of that story that's maybe linked to these immigrants coming over. Revealed the top baby name in England and Wales with a 23% rise in Mohammed as it takes number one spot for a second year in a row. Yes, we are at that time of the year where we talk about the release of the baby names. Yeah. And I was actually blown away. And of course, it's not just the Muhammad, it's all the other spellings of Muhammad are all in there further down as well. But I was just blown away. In the bottom left, you can see Muhammad 5,700 babies, Noah 4,100. So close enough to 4,000, nearly 6,000. And you look at the other ones, they're all so close. I mean, Muhammad is far ahead. It is like, I can barely see it. It's so far ahead. And that's where we're going.
It is. And Peter, demography is destiny. And it really is. And when you look at this, and it's been a feature now for a number of years, that the prevalence of the name Muhammad shows you the changing nature of Britain. I mean, all these migrants that come here, like a tremendous number of them seem to have Muhammad as their Muhammad blah blah blah. And so, yeah, it is. And I'm sure, and also, I'm not sure if that comes from the ONS, where that data comes from, but I don't even trust them. I think they probably underplay it. I think it's actually even worse than that. But even with all the flannel that they do, it's still, as you showed there, Peter, by a country mile, the most popular Christian name, which shows that Muslims are having many more babies than Brits, which is why by 2063 this will no longer be a recognizable white British country, which people may take views in that and say, well, that's great, whatever. I personally don't. I do have the opt-out. I don't think I'll be around for it, but there's always hope. But more than likely I won't. But I'm just thinking about my kids and my grandkids. What sort of a UK will they be living in? Where if Muhammad's the most popular name, maybe Muslims will be, the biggest part of the population, and maybe Parliament will reflect that. So someone said to me, by 2060, you're far more likely to get an Islamic government than the British government. So it has consequences. You can't deny that, and it's starting. You can see it. We know it because we analyze this stuff so much, with the Corbyn Sultana stuff. I mean, that's a kind of Islamist Marxist combo. And that'll be fine for a while. And then they'll turn on the Marxists and it'll just be an Islamist party that has a fair chance of exercising certainly control, if not governmental power at Westminster. So it's very frightening, actually, the Muhammad name. It's not just a cutesy story. The only, as I said, the only thing about that is that whilst Muhammad's incredibly popular, Keir is incredibly zero popular. So there's that.
But we're not allowed to talk about that because that's been banned. Because
online safety, yeah.
Online safety.
By the way, Peter, I should have said before we started this, you didn't show me age verification for us to be able to do this. I mean, I'm a bit concerned. I may have to report you to Angela Rayner, but anyway.
We're both over 18 consenting adults, David, so it's all good.
I think so, yeah.
But you mentioned Muhammad. There's another area where the name Muhammad is popping up fairly regularly as well. And I don't know what this is. And this is the great Sammy Woodhouse doing fantastic work by herself, but also with Rupert Lowe's rape gang inquiry. And she, with this 5 men have been charged with child sex offences over alleged incidents in the West Midlands and Staffordshire in the 90s. Mojer Ali, Muhammad Yabber, sounds like a Star Wars name, Yabber Khan, Muhammad Naheem Khan, Muhammad Shazaz, Abdulaziz, they've all been charged. And Muhammad there pops up. I mean, 3 out of 5. That's quite good.
It is certainly amongst child sex offenders. It seems to be a go-to name. Although I feel sorry for Mojer and Abdul that they're outliers, obviously. Also, I want to echo what you just said. Sammy Woodhouse is doing fantastic work, and I've seen it. And I've also seen the fact that I think I'm right in saying that one of her subtweets to something from the rape gang inquiry was actually censored. It's shocking. This is, again, comes back to the same thing. Government won't do anything about the rape gangs, but government wants to stop us knowing about the rape gangs, So it's hideous.
No, they'll do anything to stop it happening. Absolutely anything. I want to bring this up, and I don't have it right in front of me, but I'll bring it up in a sec. And this is your similar name as you. I called you David Starmer, but let's go with JD Vance.
For that,
let's go with your name is in the political party, and your name is in the echelons of power across the pond.
That's right, yeah.
But it's this about. Let me bring it up about JD Vance. Europe is engaging in civilizational suicide. Right. And obviously President Trump has been over, and we'll play a few clips from him over. But a great from JD Vance, who, of course, whenever he was over, was it in Munich about like 2 months ago? And he basically told them off. And he says, US Vice President annoyed by continent's inability and unwillingness to stem flow of immigration or migration. And it seems as though actually Vance and Trump are continually telling Europe, look, this is how you need to move. This is what you need to do if you want to save your continent. But yeah, he doesn't hold back. Neither of them do.
No, he doesn't. And as you said, Peter, rightly, he's actually reflecting something that President Trump said, earlier on this week when he was in Scotland. But this civilizational suicide, and he's mentioning it in connection particularly to Germany, because he singles out Germany, which is quite right, because it was Angela Merkel back in 2015 who opened the gates of hell, frankly, and they all poured in. The millions came in, and that has continued to varying degrees ever since. So I think JD Vance is right to point out that Europe is destroying. It is committing suicide. It really is. The demographics. We've talked about the UK, but you could talk about France, Germany. You pick your country, and they're all kind of similar. And he sees, and obviously President Trump and JD Vance have presided over more or less the closure of the southern border with Mexico. So there's like nobody coming in. Meanwhile, in Europe, it's like they don't want to even stop them. So JD Vance did criticize them at the Munich Security Conference. He's returned to the theme, and it's something that gives me sort of hope insofar as I think there's a great chance he could be president in 2028. I do want to live to see a President Vance, at which point I can then depart stage left. But if he does, then and he's so on the money in this. He gets it, Peter. A lot of US politicians don't get it. JD does, and he's young, and he's 40 or something. So he's of an age where he fully understands the issues, and it was great to see him once again call out the Europeans. Him and Trump are doing their best, but ultimately, like, can anyone talk down the European leaders from the roof before they jump us off? I'm not sure.
No, I can't.
No.
Here's a UK, and there, as you can guess, when you look at David's feed, that he puts a lot. He doesn't sleep. He just basically does this morning to night. So there's a lot, and I wanted to give a widespread, especially for our US audience who may not have seen this. And this is a UK story about super injunctions that maybe the US audience may not have seen and not know. But this is Labour locks down super injunction details, and they're refusing to say how many super injunctions there are. And this is, of course, with spending 7 billion, bringing over a ton of Afghans, 23,000 of which they can bring over 22 members of their family. So do the maths. But did you want to just mention what a super injunction is and why this is a huge concern for us in the UK and possibly in other countries?
A super injunction, Peter, is a particularly nasty legal instrument, because a super injunction, once it's been taken out, and it has to go through a certain process to be taken out, but what it means is not only are you not allowed to talk about whatever the thing is, but you're not allowed to even mention the fact that the thing exists. So it's just total foreboding, and they exist. And I'm aware of a couple in Northern Ireland context I'm aware of, but I believe that there are many more, or certainly some more, in a broader UK perspective, and they may. Well, see, we don't know what they are, right? Technically, we don't know what they are, and we're certainly not allowed to talk about them, because if we do, we're in grave legal trouble. And
we're not even allowed to know they exist.
Except they do. Yeah. We're not allowed, but we're not allowed to know that. And sir, and that's why the press in the UK, and this is for American viewers, Peter, the press in the UK are instantly, I don't want to be fair to the press, because I despise the press, but they are legally handicapped. They cannot even talk about the prospect that there may be something. If they do, they're in great trouble. But I think they do exist. They shouldn't exist. It's wrong to have this degree of secrecy. I mean, what happened to transparent government? Well, we have none. Instead, we've got degrees of covertness and trying to hide stuff away from the British people. And that's wrong. But that is what the super injunction is. I don't even understand how it originated, which judges decided this was a good idea. And, but the politicians know that the benefit of it is that it hides the issue. It's for the political class and the very wealthy. I think to take one out costs about, figures I've heard, certainly about 300,000-500,000 is what it costs. And then that's renewed every year. So, so it's for the wealthy, and they keep the little secrets. And those of us like you and I, we can't even comment on any specific because we don't know about it. There's been plenty of speculation about what they might be, mind you, it has to be said. And I think maybe I have a fair idea about a couple of them. But I'm sure, they definitely don't involve the likes of, for example, the Prime Minister. They definitely don't. And they definitely don't involve, for example, former Labour politician Nick Brown. Definitely no, those things are not super injunctions, right? But we don't know what the actual super injunctions are.
But also, I think the Daily Mail fought for 18 months to get this super injunction opened, and it shows the battle of even an entity that has the money and has the ability to force this. What hope is there for anyone else when it takes them 18 months and probably spending a ton of money legally? There's no hope for actual normal citizens.
No, it's a perfect way to hide big secrets, and that's what they do. Big secrets are hidden. The elite hide their secrets behind these super injunctions. They should be. I mean, I'd love to see if we ever had an administration that comes in that does anything. One of the first items: remove super injunctions, strike it off the legal list of instruments, because it's iniquitous.
Download the Getter app right now. It's totally free. It's where I put up exclusively all of my content 24 hours a day. You want to know what Steve Bannon's thinking? Go to Getter.
So don't wait. Download the Getter app now.
Sign up for free and be part of the movement.
It is. Let's go again to a US-UK link, and this is Jim Jordan. And this is Rumble, which is Canadian, really, company. But this is by Jim Jordan, one of the most recognizable figures in the House of Representatives. He was saying UK regulators threaten American companies with censorship. And the quote from Ofcom, which is the communications regulatory body in the UK, they had emailed Rumble back in May. And the quote that he took from it was, "We will be monitoring Rumble's position carefully." Sounds a very sinister 1984 type comment. But yeah, that's where we're going. I don't know whether the government really do want to fight with the world, with America especially, on freedom of speech, because Keir Starmer is going to lose 100%.
Oh, I agree with you, and I mean, Jim Jordan should be congratulated on that's it's a very good thread that he put up. I've read it all, and it shows that it's evidence of what we've talked about anyway, Peter. The fact that Ofcom, which is essentially an extension of government, wants to control the internet. It wants to control everything, and it thinks it can tell Rumble, it could tell, Meta, it could tell X what it can and what it cannot show. And so this goes right up against what JD Vance and President Trump have been saying, namely, you're not going to boss US tech companies around. You're not going to do that. But yet that's what Ofcom's doing. So I just hope that those Jim Jordan's, as you say, a very respected senator, but I hope others within the administration do look into that, because it's a clear threat. That's why other platforms like BitChute, which, okay, it's British, but it came out of the UK. Gab, which is American owned, although some people say it's a little bit extreme, but whatever. Gab withdrew from the UK because it was unsafe for Gab to allow British people to interact on it because of the Ofcom threat. So, I think, as you said, Peter, I don't see how Ofcom win this one, but it doesn't stop them threatening. And, we've even seen in this past week that, and this wasn't Ofcom, this was the online safety, the threats from a government as regards how companies operate within a given country can impact. Even, I found it out on X this week. I found, for example, if I tried to link certain videos showing protests outside migrant hotels, it won't work. It just doesn't allow me to do it. And that's never happened to me before. So, but if Ofcom gets its way, Ofcom wants to be the globalist regulator of media, actually, not just online, but offline as well. And it's going for it, as you can see with Rumble. Nasty little threat. I hope they get smacked. I know there's a big class action going to be taken against them in the US. I think there are people in the UK would love to do the same. And we'll see where that one goes.
Yeah. Well, here are some clips of President Trump speaking to reporters, and Keir Starmer looking, just seriously, the most pathetically weak imbecile. Just it's so embarrassing.
Really good, yeah.
But here I'll play one clip here, and then I'll play a little bit of another clip.
Will you go to London, or are you worried it's no longer London?
About what?
Will you visit London during the state visit?
I will. I'm not a fan of your mayor. I think he's done a terrible job, the mayor of London. But a nasty person. I think he's done. I think he's
a friend of mine, actually.
No, I think he's done a terrible job. But I would certainly visit London. Yeah.
That was one, and let me just play another clip. Put them together. I think this is about farmers, and of course, the Labour government have latched on to farmers to punish them along with everyone else in society. But here, I'll play a little bit of this clip.
We have a lot of unhappy.
Who are you with?
We have a lot of unhappy.
Who are you with? Because you're asking such a nice question.
Sorry, GB News. Bev Turner from GB News.
Very good.
We have a lot of unhappy farmers in this country at the moment, and I'm sure the Prime Minister won't thank me for raising this. We've had changes to inheritance tax, which mean a lot of farmers feel they're going to lose their farms when they die or their father dies. How important are farmers to a country?
You mean they're going to lose the farm because of estate taxes?
Correct. So that when they die, they'll have to pay so much. They're cash poor, but they have great property.
I know. Well, they're cash poor. They're land rich and cash poor. A lot of people are. I've had that too. Sometimes I'm land rich and cash. Sometimes I'm cash rich and land poor. I like it both ways, but as I get older, I like the more conservative. So I did something that I don't know if you can do, but it was great. I love our farmers. As you know, in our tax bill, we have a clause that's very important. We were losing a lot of farms to the banks because a loving mother and father would die and left their farm to their children or their child, but their children, their family. And they loved their family, and they thought they were doing them a favor, but they had a 50% tax to pay. So the land would get valued, and at a high.
He goes on to us about that, and poor Keir Starmer just looking like a confused child, wondering what's been happening and thinking, how did I get into this? But yeah, a lot of those videos, brilliant, of Trump just speaking common sense.
It was brutal. It was absolutely brutal and brilliant in equal measure because it was the world's media were there. I got to say, I thought Bev Turner from GB News played a blinder. I was so impressed with Beverly. And Trump actually didn't, in that clip, that last clip, reference her for the nice questions. So she was, I got to say, I just loved everything about that. Trump was brilliant from start to finish. He absolutely showed the difference between a leader, which he is, and a sheep, which is what Starmer is. And it was the discomfort. I mean, the thing is that they're talking about the tax on farmers, inheritance tax. And I think after that clip there you've played, Peter, it goes on a wee bit, and Starmer's talking about, oh no, we're not at 50%. Well, actually, funny enough, you are at 50% because there is the standard taxation, there's the corporate taxation, and then there's inheritance taxation. You add all that together, and what President Trump is saying is right. You're making it, very difficult for the next generation to take on the farms, and Starmer's responsible for that. But I mean, he lied to Trump on so many fronts. He lied to Trump about the fact that, he was taking tough measures about migration. I don't know how that guy, Starmer, can sit there and, like Pinocchio, his nose doesn't grow because he just frankly lied. But I'm hoping that Trump sees through it. I hope he does. Trump's pretty savvy. He's also, by the way, people talk about, King Charles is going to be ever so frightened when Trump comes in September about Trump may not be diplomatic. Trump is a brilliant diplomat, actually. The way he handled himself, I thought, given that he was in the UK, was actually really good. And he did say stuff in that Trumpian fashion, which we all love to hear for definite. But it was still balanced, and he didn't actually call Starmer out as such, but he still made his points, which is brilliant.
Right, it's really good. And there's an article in the Telegraph that'll put in the if you're watching Rumble or YouTube, I'll put in the bottom, entitled "My 5 Days on the Road with Trump Revealed a Man in Complete Control." Really interesting full read of one of those on the plane from the Telegraph, and going through and explaining it. But let's go something in Ireland, and this is the failure of media all over to actually say where someone is from. And as RTE yesterday, the man who stabbed a Garda police officer was an Irish citizen and born in Ireland, and that was the disinformation there, making sure that we knew he was a man in his 20s, an Irish citizen born in Ireland. Oh, so these Irish men running around stabbing, killing people. And then, today the man is named Abdullah Khan, born to Pakistani immigrants. Then it changes the thinking. We see this time and time again. They may be born here, but actually they live in 7th century Arabia. Their family are from elsewhere, and these are closed communities, and they think they can do what they like. So it wasn't a Paddy, it was Abdullah.
Yeah, was he one of the Galway Abdullahs? I think. I mean, yeah,
McDullah.
I mean, it's so pathetic. And this is the Irish government's every bit as bad as the British government, and the Irish media is every bit as bad as the British media. They absolutely tried to imply, just another Irish guy. It's a wee bit like, Peter, again, going back a year ago, Welsh choir boy, Irishman, born to Irish parents, and then we get it. But then there was a video clip of the actual attack this guy carried out in Capel Street, which I know, sort of central Dublin area, I think. And anyway, that video clearly shows this guy what he did, and the main concern of the Irish government and the Irish media is not talk about it. And I saw a brilliant shot of all the morning dailies in Ireland the day after the attack, and it ain't on any of those front pages. So being stabbed by a 7th century migrant doesn't even make headlines in Ireland. And
Wow.
But again, it's like it's like the UK. They don't want the Irish people to know what's happening. But the Irish have been at this now for quite a while. There's been multiple stabbings in Dublin, and they just vanish. The media won't talk about them, mainly because the media, of course, in Ireland gets its money from the government, so it has to play ball.
Sadly, the Irish people are becoming more violent and more rapey, as I would say, and then you realize it's not true. But of course, the way, but in, I want to touch on the Online Safety Act before we finish off, and it is this one, great, from Guido Fawkes, Order, and the title is Labour Support for VPN Restrictions After Online Safety Act Fail. So either they tell you that X will have to find out what age you are before you look at a picture of Keir Starmer as a baby, or whatever it is. But this is what you'd expect in North Korea or China, shutting down. I mean, Labour are going to have a huge battle on their hands to try and make sure people don't know what's happening.
Well, exactly, yeah. So, I mean, it's the law of unintended consequences, isn't it? So they basically, impose age verification, and everyone then downloads VPNs. But I mean, I can tell you, having run a business for a long time, it's considered to be best practice in business to have your connections VPN protected, so that unscrupulous people don't get in and get into your commercial data and stuff. So VPNs are critical for business. And yet Peter Kyle, the ludicrous science minister, is now saying we'd really prefer if you didn't use your VPN. And how's he going to make that? How's he going to stop us using VPNs, Peter? I mean, I suppose that I suspect at the moment, all of a sudden, there's loads of people now, located in Australia, US, wherever it is, and actually, of course, they're all located in the UK. But this is the consequence. But the notion that they would ban the VPN itself, it shows you the degree to which the government wants to go, along with something called client-side scanning. I wonder, are you familiar with clients? So in the online safety bill, I can't remember what clause, but anyway, there's this thing called CSS, client-side scanning. And what that means is the government wants the power to be able to access, on, say, your phone, a message before you send it. So you're typing a message on WhatsApp or on iMessage or whatever it is, the government wants to be able to slide in, see that message in real time before you send it, because once you send it, it goes through encryption, and they know that the big tech companies won't give them the kind of the back access that they want. So the better thing is, it's actually even more Orwellian. Okay, we want to read your messages before you send them. So the government wants to, so it's called client-side scanning, and it's in the Online Safety Act as something that they're proposing to look at as well. So just think about that. We will have literally no privacy at all. And so again, I'm not sure if a VPN stops that. I'm not sure, but that's the mendaciousness of the government. Client-side scanning is it's just all and stunning, because actually you could write an email, a text message, never send it. Nobody receives it, but the government's seen it. And therefore, theoretically, you could ultimately, I suppose, end up in court over not sending a message, but you wrote it. And how far is that away from thought control?
But David, it's so good that the Conservative Party really care about us, and they wouldn't. Oh no, sorry, they were the ones that proposed this bill in the first place.
That was the awkwardness. Yeah. Wow. So whenever Kemi Badenoch and co beat their chests and saying, "Well, this is outrageous," actually, in a way, Peter, they are really responsible. They were told in 2023, "Do not proceed with this because it's going to have all these consequences in free speech," and they did. And okay, they got knocked out of power last summer, and Labour's just simply grabbed the ball and run with it and implemented it. But it shows you that the uni party at Westminster is this one big blob. And the Kemi and the Conservatives would be best to shut up about this because they have no credibility. But it just shows you both major parties were focused on taking away our ability to communicate with each other.
Yeah. Let's just finish off one story and just touch on this as we finish. And this is kind of a good news story, but it's not a good news story. Lucy Connolly was arrested for a tweet. Has, I think, was it 3 years in jail? She has
3 years, yeah.
So the mother arrested for a social media post will only serve 40% of her total time in prison. Kind of what rapists do, not really for those who actually post a tweet, and will be allowed to serve the rest at home. Oh, thank you, Keir Starmer, for allowing her to go home and see her family. This is utterly pure evil. And yet the Communications Act and the Online Safety Bill, all put together by the Uni Party, that's now what we have. But it's good they're going after someone who tweets and not all the rapists coming in on the boat, David.
That's priorities, isn't it? But as I said in my own comment there, obviously Lucy Connolly should never, ever have been sent to prison in the first place, for all she did was write a somewhat injudicious tweet. But so what? It doesn't warrant anything like a prison sentence. It's insane. But I think they're doing this because they know there's, as we've said now several times, there's pressure building right now in the UK in August, summer months and all that. And I think they think, well, if they graciously let her out of prison so she can serve the time at home, that will kind of diffuse maybe some of the tensions that are out there, because her case has become a bit of a cause célèbre, which is fair enough. But I don't think that it will diffuse the anger, because there are other people as well. There's people that I know that's, again, just expressed their outrage last August, and they're in prison. And Lucy is probably the best known of them, but there are some others. I think you know them as well, and they're still there. So it's like just free speech is under massive pressure here in the UK. And actually, the good thing is, though, I think other side of the pond, they see it. They actually see, what are you Brits doing? And I also saw that, even another slightly different topic, we'll not get into it in detail, but just I noticed that the US Defense Secretary, Marco Rubio, has picked up on Starmer's, we're going to recognize Narnia, aka Palestine, and said, this is a very clumsy thing. I like his use of language. Rubio says this is clumsy and it's going to have the exact opposite effect. And it doesn't make any difference because you can't achieve anything anyway. So, the machinations of our evil, wicked government are not invisible to the Washington Trump establishment. And as someone said to me earlier today, like, our best hope of freedom lies in America. So, American friends out there watching this, I mean, you know, we need you to come to our rescue, because we are in real trouble. Because I don't know how we get to 2029 without something given people. And Peter, and I don't want violence, I don't want anything like that there, but it just can't carry on like this. It cannot.
No, I think pressure from President Trump is literally the only hope for us, to make sure we're not stuck with these conditions until 2029 minimum.
Well, I put out a tweet the other day saying, breaking news, North Korea offers Brits sanctuary. And it got a lot of people. I just was being sarcastic, but I mean, a lot of people did say, yeah, it sounds about. And actually, when I thought about it, I thought, yeah, North Korea mightn't be that bad. I'm not sure what the summers are like, but, you know, maybe I might have a wee bit more, less fear of a tap on the shoulder and the tyranny of this government. So, yeah, as you say, we'll have to wait to see.
Well, maybe we could set up a whole Irish town somewhere in the middle of Texas, so we'll see on that.
But that'll be better. I'd definitely prefer that, yeah.
You can do North Korea, David. I'm doing Texas. So.
I fancy Vanceville. JD Vance can be the honorary patron, and it provides a space for us all to come together so we can be safe.
And maybe he'll go there for summer holidays and not the Cotswolds.
Yeah, why is he going to the Cotswolds? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Someone needs to talk to him, but that's another story.
David, really appreciate you, as always, giving us your thoughts. Thanks so much for engaging with us, and thanks so much for never sleeping and just posting. So great.
I'm off to have a sleep now, Peter. I have to lie down.